Hello, friends and beginner artists. Today I'm kind of sitting here playing with a little heart shape, and I will tell you, I tell you all the time, I can't even draw a circle. So I had this cookie cutter and I thought, wow, that's perfect. So that's how I drew this perfect little heart. I don't want to take credit for it. So that's what I did there. I'm gonna go ahead and just spray my watercolor paints here, get them activated and going. Just liven them up. These are my MeiLang paints, by the way, I tell you about a lot. I love them for artists because you know what, I admit it all the time, I'm a lazy painter, guys. Unless I'm doing a commission, I don't wanna have to mix my colors. I know a lot of people love doing that. I just wanna paint. So this palette is so great for beginners because look at all the colors it has in it. This is their larger palette too, so it has the metallics, but they have a 36 palette. Let's see, I think I have it here, and they're really creamy and like buttery. I love them, but they're translucent too. Not this one. Let's see, they have a 36 palette. If you don't care about supplies, just skip forward a bit. Here's their 36 palette. And it just has all the colors in it, but it doesn't have the metallic. So it's a great one too. And I love the MeiLang palette. I use it all the time. The other thing that you guys told me about, thank you so much, is MeiLang now has the tubes. So if you run out of paint in any of these, which like right now I need to fill my greens, you just grab a tube and fill it up, and you don't have to get rid of your whole palette. So thank you to you guys for cluing me in on that. That was great. I bought those before Christmas. And let's see, what else? You guys ask me about my little custom palettes all the time. I will tell you right off the bat, I am not affiliated from her. I don't get anything from her. For years, she has made all my palettes for my in-person classes that I have here. And I also, as you see, use them all the time in my videos. They make me happy. I love them. She just made this one for me. I have to save up for them because they're quite expensive. And she put a brush rest this time, I noticed. She always puts a flower. So again, if you're not interested in this stuff, just, you can skip forward or mute me, or you won't hurt my feelings. But every single tutorial, somebody asked me about my palettes. She doesn't make these a lot, you guys. I order a large quantity of them at a time, so I think she does that for me. They're pretty costly. So I've been collecting them for years. Again, I'm not affiliated with her at all. I get zero from her when you purchase these. And I'll give you the link. All right, today, the other thing, because as you know, I love the MAB metallics. I've been buying from her for a couple months now. She did send me a couple palettes because she saw how much I loved them. Thank you so much to her. But these are the holographic. And you guys, if I could love anything more than the Mirror series, it's the holographics. Oh my God, I'm completely over the top, to the moon, obsessed. They're amazing. So I've been using those. Let's see. Okay, so the colors I think I'm going to use, surprise, surprise, are going to be the MeiLang Rose. It kind of reminds me of a mix between the Quin Magenta, which obviously you guys, look how excited. I was so excited. My nail girl found a purpley Quin Magenta type color. How fun is that? So anyways, I'm going to use that color. By the way, make sure you have your clean in your rinse water, always, beginners, for your brushes, because watercolors are so translucent. If your brush isn't clean, if I used red or a bright green or a blue and went into a lighter color, it's just going to carry over that color. So always make sure you wash and rinse. And I'll link this. This is the Meeden little ceramic well. Love it because I have dumped over too many a cup of water. So, but use whatever you got. I'm using a round brush. This just happens to be what I grabbed. My Meeden brush, they have a whole set. Hold on though, because I think I will actually use, let's see here. I want my round brush, or I need at least a bigger Meeden brush. 1 second, guys. Let me find my Princeton 8. Can't find it. Here we go. Okay, got it. So this is my Princeton 8, my round. So I'm going to use that today, but you guys use whatever round brush you have. The Dugatos are great too. I'm always telling you about. You get a set of, I think, 10 of them. So for the beginner, they're great for the price point. And then the other color I'll use is, if you have Winsor Newton, this is like a sap green. I think in MeiLang they call it tree green, or maybe a hooker's green. And then that's the olive green. I tend to kind of mix the two, you guys. I don't quite like as dark of an olive green, so I kind of mix these. Let's see, what other colors might I be using? I think I'll use my cad yellow. Excuse me, choking. Cad yellow. That's a pretty color. Let's throw in a little bit of a blue. I think, yeah, that's a pretty, ooh, look how pretty that is. And then we'll let these all kind of mix and mingle and be pretty. All right. So those are my colors. Let's go ahead and get started. What I want to do is I'm first going to paint some flowers here and there, just really simple flowers. Then I think I'll go in and just add some fun filler leaves. I have been battling with this cough forever, you guys. Okay. This is the first time I'm using this palette, by the way. So fun. I love a new palette. So I've got some pink in there. I think what I will do, when you're working damp in damp, notice I'm saying damp in damp, not wet and wet. Wet and wet is too hard for beginners. For most beginners, it was for me. So I just go damp in damp. And let's see here. I think the other color I will put in here is some yellow. When you're working damp and damp, wet and wet, you want to make sure your colors are ready to go. Otherwise, by the time you go get a color, it may be dry and you're not going to get that beautiful blend and bleed. So we'll start with those, maybe put a little green in here, just so we're ready for our stems. And I'm creating just this wonderful, it's flowy, it's about 50% pigment, 50% water. Just going to put that in there. So those are ready to go. The last one, I guess we could put some blue in here. There we go. Really pretty blue. I love cerulean blue. This is maybe a little bit lighter, but but I like that color. All right. I'm going to create anywhere from 4, 5, 6 petal flowers here. So let me go in. With watercolors, you're always going to work light to dark, meaning you're going to work with a lighter value. So you want to add a little water to your paint. Oops, got a stray hair in there. And tap off. Make sure you tap off, because you don't want to be going straight from your paints to your paper, because that would be way too thick and not watery enough, and you'll get a dry brush effect. Also, you don't want to go straight from a puddle of paint here to your paper, because most likely you'll have too much water on there. So just tap off. And then let's start here. I'm going to create, let's use a pencil and just create the center of my flower here. Maybe one here, maybe here. Just randomly placing them like that. So those are the centers of my flower. And I draw in the center of my flowers so that I can make sure all my petals are pointing towards the center. Otherwise they get a little wonky. And point, press, spin around. I'm going to be turning my paper here. Point, press, spin around. Point, press. So all of my petals are facing towards point, press. The center, point, press. Like that. Just help that around so it's all nice and even. I'm gonna go ahead and go in there though really quickly with a little bit of green because I want to get a little bit of a blend. So, and you know what, my pencil lines are a little bit darker so you could see, but just after you draw, just roll over it with a kneaded eraser and it will lighten your pencil marks. Because right now, I don't know if you can see in the camera, but sorry for the camera shake, guys. I promise you, I'm going to get good at editing one of these days. See, the pencil mark is showing through my flower. Don't really want that. So point, press for my little leaf. Point, press. And I wanted it to kind of blend in with my flower. Point, press, so I get a little bit of that bleed. So I pick up some paint, tap it off. Look at all that water that came off, and then go into my leaf there. So picking up the paint, tapping it off. Oops, I picked up yellow there. I meant to pick up green. Some green. Tap it off, a lot of paint will come off, and then go in. Point, press, like that. Point, press, okay? Let's go to our next flower, which I think I'll do in this pink. Add a little bit more water just to lighten the tone. To lighten the value of your paint, so these are about a medium value, but if I add more water, it's going to lighten that intensity of my paint. And then tap off, and let's do another flower here. So point, press, spin around, point, press, just like that. Point, press. Little more pressure when I want that wider area there. Tap off, pick up, tap off. Point, press, there we go. And if you have any puddles in there, we don't want puddles, just wipe off your brush, rinse it, dry it on a little towel, and you can go in and pick it up. Just go in and pick up those puddles, like that. Now I could go in there with we could go in there with an orange, or we could go in there with that same color, but almost full strength, and just tap into the middle, maybe pull it out a little bit, the side of my brush, like that, and just let it kind of spread. We could do it with the yellow too. Go in, pick up a high concentrate of that yellow, and just go in using the side of my brush, like that, and add some darker values. Maybe even go in with an orangey color. Lighten that up with a little more water, tap off, and go into the center. And let that kind of spread. Maybe color in a few, like that. You could even add the orange into the pink. I love orange and pink together. It's like my favorite combination. I'm going to rinse and wash my brush, pick up some green paint, tap it off, point, and do some little leaves here. Maybe some tiny leaves just poking out, because you don't want all your leaves to be exactly the same, right? Maybe add in a tiny bit of green, darker green, olive green. And we can do maybe right here in that darker green, something like that. Just something interesting, right? Just little dots. Almost looks like kind of a little ferny type of greenery. Totally fine. Go in there with our yellow or our orange even, or both, and maybe add in some little dots. Just get playful with these things. And there you go. Okay, let's go in and we'll do another flower right here. I drew a little flower here. So I think I'll go back to my yellowy orange color, tap off, point press, point press, point press, point press. Just use both sides. There we go. We have another one. Wash, rinse my brush. Maybe I want to add a little bit of orange to that. I'm going to pick up some water in there. There you go. Now, tap off and get that excess out, and let's just tap into the center and let it kind of spread out. Make sure if it just goes crazy, turning into a blob, just tap off some of that paint. And then go back in and add in some little touches. And this is why I say damp and damp, guys, not necessarily wet and wet. Wash, rinse, pick up some of that green, tap, tap, tap. And a little leaf, a couple little leaves here. Maybe a smaller one. And there you go. I think I'll do a few little pinkish dots because I want to carry around this red. So adding in some little bits of red carries it around. And then let's add in, pick up a little bit of green. Haven't even added in our blue yet. And let's create, actually, you know what? Let's start over. Get rid of that green. Let's pick up a little bit of brown. You can use a Van Dyke brown, whatever brown you like. You'll find that you use certain browns, you use certain greens. Go with those. And I'm gonna just add a little bit. I love the warm, grounded color of brown with my, whenever I do flowers. I love combining that earthy brown with my florals. I just think that's so pretty. But you could use green, you could use whatever color you want. Let's continue. I've got another little flower drawn here, so let's pick up our yellow again. And just tap, tap, tap. I didn't tap. Point, press, point. Point, press, point. Now I've got a lot of paint in there. So I'm going to dry my brush off, scraping off some, and go in and just with a thirsty brush, pick some of that up. And just color those in again. Add a little bit of orange to my flower. So there's this coherency. And there you go. Another flower here. Let's see, let's do that one pink. So let me pick up a little bit more of that rose color in your MeiLang palette. Add some water. Tap, tap, tap to get that extra paint off so you're not just creating a puddle. And I always rest my palm on my paper, but it's kind of hard right now because I should have worked left to right, being right-handed. I worked right to left, which means I have to go over my wet paint. Point, press, turn my paper, point, press, point press. Oop. Point press. Last one. Point press. There we go. And then we can add in a little bit of orange to that. Tap, tap, tap. While it's wet. I just love that yellow and orange together. This one reminds me kind of a plumeria, actually. And then I am going to add in a little bit of pink dots down here because we want to somewhat carry the pink throughout. So there's some coherency here. So just add some of that. There we go. Wash, rinse. And now we have one more flower up here in the corner, and I think I'll go ahead and go with that yellow. Picking up that yellow, add a little bit more water, tap, 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 and turn my page here and go ahead and create this flower. Just using the tip of my brush, point, and then a little bit more pressure to get the wide area out on the outside of the petal. Point, press, point, press. There we go. I'm even going to add a tiny bit of yellow to this. I think that's kind of pretty. Okay. Pick up some of my orange. Tap, tap, tap till it stops dripping off my brush. There we go. Wash, rinse, kind of blend some of those hard lines. And we've got our flowers. Isn't that pretty? Look how pretty. Now we just go in with the either brown or green, whatever you decided on. Like I said, I love the kind of earthy color. I think it's really pretty in any type of wreath. Just feels so warm. Pick up paint, tap, tap, tap. I hope that tapping off helps you. I know a lot of times I also tell you to just tap off on your towel, but if you are doing that, a towel's going to soak up a lot more. So you might find tapping off on the edge of your palette is a little bit easier. So I think I've got plenty of brown in there. Let's go in and add some greenery now. I'm going to use that tree green or hooker's green if you're using MeiLiang. And then I think I want some of the olive green right here. Add a little bit more water. You want your paint to be movable in your palette. That's moving very easy. Tap, tap, tap. Just keep tapping till I feel like the water is not flying off of there. And then let's add in some little, very thin line, light pressure. Maybe things like this, just dabbing using the tip of my brush. Just create some fun movement. And looks like it's almost weaving in and out of my branches. Now, I don't know if you can see here, but that brown kind of went into my yellow flower. You could leave it, but you could also rinse off your brush, tap it off on your towel, and I can go in and just pick that up. There you go, it's gone. So you can always do that if you get a blob of something that you weren't really happy with. Now I'm going to vary and use my sap green over here. Just barely the tip of my brush, you guys. Dab, dab, dab. I love that. It just gives this beautiful flow and movement. Let's put some of that up here. Light, light, light pressure. Dab, 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 dab. And here, dab, 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 dab. There we go. Maybe coming out here. I'm just going in and adding some little green in there. The lightest pressure. That's why it's so important to use, to really practice those brush strokes and warm-ups, because to create these little tiny lines, you need an awfully light touch, and your brush should be straight up and down so that it's not bringing in the belly of the brush. And then just dab, 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 dab. Perfect little leaves. Dab, 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 dab. Like that. Isn't that fun? We could have some little leaves coming out of these flowers. And vary your leaves. So you don't want all the leaves coming out the same amount, right? Some of them are going to be a little longer, a little shorter. So keep that in mind. Some might just be peeking out. Some might be bigger, darker. Vary your leaves. And the last color I want to add in here, just to show you that up close, is, I think, okay, you guys, I'm just going to warn you right now. You know I paint very spontaneously. I'm going to add in some blue. Let's just see if it either throws it all off or it makes a beautiful color. Dab, dab, tap, tap, tap. Get that excess water off of there. And let's start adding in. Oh, I like it. These are kind of dabs. I really like the blue, you guys. I think that really added a lot to it. And it kind of carries your eye around the picture, doesn't it? And let some of the paint run out. So when I first started, the value was a little darker. Let it run out a bit. So it's a different value, but look how pretty. There you go. Let me lift that up so you can see that. Isn't that pretty? Let's wash and rinse our brush. And I think the last thing I'll do is go into the center of these flowers and maybe just put some little dots. And for my dots, I usually use like a Prussian blue or even black. I like Prussian blue because it has that little bit of blue in it. And let's just go in, and you could even use white dots on these. Make sure that's dry. Otherwise, I'll have a big, gigantic mud puddle blob. And just add in tiny dots. You could even do this with a pen. Oops, I was going to do white on the red ones. Too late. There we go. And look at just that little bit of detail really added a lot. Let's see if I can get, see if I have my white gouache around here. I also keep white pens, but not seeing that. So this is Winsor Newton Designer Gouache Zinc White. I actually typically like titanium white. It just seems a little bit more opaque. But let's give this a try because I had it sitting here. So just getting a little, I know I don't tell you to normally go in with the tip, but I'm going really lightful. I'm not scrubbing. And let's just put some white dots here. Yeah, see, that was what I envisioned for the red flower. Oops. That's okay. There you go. Wash and rinse my brush. Make sure you always, gouache is a little bit thicker, so just make sure you rinse your brush really good if you're using a watercolor brush. And honestly, I think I'm about done with this. I think it's a really cute little, it could be a really cute little card. The only thing, as you know, you guys, if you're done right now. Thank you. Try this. I'm so excited to have you here with me doing this. I love it. But I'm going to maybe add a little bit of my hologram paint. So let's see if I could hold this up closer. Ooh. Now you may want to do this, you may not. That's up to you. But you know what? For me, you guys, I could be adding this paint to everything because I love it. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I just think it's such an eye catcher. Now I just mixed some of that hologram paint with my orange. And there you go. If you are a good calligrapher, you could write in the middle. I'm not, so I typically don't. But there you go. That hologram is beautiful, by the way. It's a little bit different than the mirror series. The hologram has a ton of different colors. So I hope you guys give this a try. And happy painting, you guys. I do put in my description anything I can remember that I used in here. If there's something I missed and you're curious about, just ask. They are affiliate links, guys. I get 1% to 3% back on Amazon from anything you order. So just to let you know, they are affiliate links for the most part. Some aren't. My palette isn't. But I hope you guys give this a try. I think it's a fun little beginners, and I think it would make really pretty cards. All right, everybody, happy painting, and thanks for being here.